The video begins with a single question hanging in the air. How does silence defeat power? In a glass tower overlooking Manila Bay, a foreign executive believed authority was loud, public, unquestionable. What followed was not a scandal, not a protest, but a slow unraveling, engineered by patience, precision, and a Filipino engineer who never raised his voice. The Korean conglomerate arrived in the Philippines with confidence hardened by decades of global success. Their CEO, Kong Min-jae, was known for decisive leadership and intolerance for delay. The Manila office was meant to execute, not question. Local engineers were hired for support, not strategy. That assumption shaped everything that came next. Among the hires was Daniel Reyes, a Filipino systems engineer in his mid-30s. He spoke softly, dressed plainly, and rarely entered executive conversations. His resume showed quiet consistency: regional infrastructure projects, disaster-resilient systems, long nights without recognition. He did not carry ambition loudly. He carried responsibility. The project was enormous, a nationwide logistics optimization platform for Southeast Asia. The CEO wanted speed. The board wanted cost efficiency. The Manila team wanted stability. From the first meeting, tension was visible. Kong spoke. Others listened. Suggestions from local engineers were acknowledged politely, then dismissed with a nod. Daniel noticed the timelines were aggressive to the point of fragility. Certain regional variables, whether volatility, port congestion, power interruptions, were missing from the model. He documented concerns carefully, submitting reports through proper channels. No reply came. In meetings, Kong emphasized execution, not hesitation. Progress, not doubt. Weeks turned into months. The platform grew more complex, more interconnected, more vulnerable. Daniel continued refining back-end contingencies quietly, even when they were not requested. He believed systems should protect people from failure, not hide it. That belief guided his work, even as pressure increased. The confrontation came during a regional review attended by executives flown in from Seoul. A minor delay triggered visible irritation. Kong asked for accountability. His tone sharpened. When Daniel attempted to explain a structural risk, Kong interrupted him mid-sentence, correcting his English publicly, asserting authority with practiced ease. The room went silent. Then Kong made a decision meant to be instructional. He announced Daniel's termination on the spot, citing lack of alignment and overcautious thinking. It was framed as efficiency. Applause did not come, but neither did protest. Daniel nodded once, thanked the team, and left quietly. In the days after, work continued as if nothing had happened. The CEO praised decisiveness. The engineers absorbed the message. Daniel, now officially removed, returned home without spectacle. He archived his files, left access credentials intact, and forwarded a final document to the project server, labeled simply, System Integrity Notes. 3 weeks later, the platform entered its final testing phase. At first, metrics looked impressive. Delivery times improved. Costs dropped. Executives celebrated efficiency gains. Press materials were drafted. A regional launch date was announced. Confidence returned to the top floor of the tower. Then the failures began, not dramatic crashes, but quiet inconsistencies, data mismatches, delayed routing decisions, unexplained redundancies. Engineers worked overtime, patching symptoms without identifying cause. The system behaved as if it understood the region, but misread it in subtle, accumulating ways. A tropical storm disrupted port operations in the Visayas. The system rerouted shipments automatically, overwhelming secondary hubs. Delays cascaded across borders. Clients demanded explanations. Executives demanded fixes. Kong demanded answers. The platform had passed all simulations, yet reality exposed blind spots. An engineer revisited archived documents, searching for overlooked insights. That was when Daniel's final file surfaced. It outlined exactly the scenario: weather triggered congestion, compounded by rigid optimization rules. He had proposed adaptive buffers, manual override protocols, and region-specific fail-safes, features deemed unnecessary. The realization spread quietly. Daniel had not resisted progress. He had designed for reality. The team implemented his recommendations under pressure, rewriting core logic overnight. The system stabilized slowly, not perfectly, but enough to prevent collapse. The crisis passed without public acknowledgement of its cause. In Seoul, board members requested a full internal review. Data pointed not to technical incompetence, but to leadership decisions. Emails surfaced. Meeting transcripts were re-examined. Daniel's reports were read for the first time, clear, measured, accurate. The narrative began to shift. Kong returned to Manila weeks later. No press, no ceremony. He requested a private meeting with the engineering leads. His tone was controlled but restrained. Questions replaced commands. He asked where Daniel Reyes was now. No one answered immediately. Daniel had accepted a contract role with a local disaster response tech group. His work focused on resilience, not profit. When Kong finally reached him, the request was formal. Consult on improving the platform's regional stability. There was no apology, only acknowledgement of necessity. Daniel agreed to review the system remotely. He did not negotiate status or compensation aggressively. He asked only for one condition, that local engineers be allowed to speak freely in future design meetings. Kong paused and agreed. The condition was documented. As updates rolled out, the platform transformed. Flexibility replaced rigidity. Local data informed global decisions. Performance improved not because authority demanded it, but because understanding shaped it. Quietly, the Manila team became central to strategy discussions. Internally, the firing was never mentioned again. Externally, the project was labeled a success. But within the company, something fundamental had shifted. Meetings slowed. Questions were encouraged. Silence was no longer mistaken for incompetence. Kang's leadership style evolved. Subtly, public reprimands disappeared. Reviews became private. The change was not attributed to one incident. But those who were there understood. Authority had encountered something it could not overpower: context, patience, and competence rooted in place. Daniel never returned to the company full-time. His influence remained in architecture diagrams, contingency logic, and a culture that now paused before dismissing local insight. His name appeared in technical documentation, not press releases. The Filipino engineers noticed the difference. Their work was still demanding, still intense, but no longer invisible. Their knowledge of terrain, weather, and human behavior was treated as expertise, not inconvenience. In the glass tower, efficiency metrics improved, but more importantly, failures became manageable. Systems bent instead of breaking. The region was no longer treated as a variable to control, but a reality to respect. No public apology was issued. None was required. The correction happened in design choices, meeting structures, and who was allowed to speak without interruption. Power adjusted itself, quietly. For Daniel, the experience reaffirmed something he had always known. Competence did not need validation to exist. It only needed time to reveal itself. Silence was not weakness. It was discipline. The story never became a headline. There were no viral clips, no courtroom scenes. Just a system that worked better after listening to someone had dismissed. In corporate histories, this project would be remembered as a technical success. In the memories of those involved, it was a lesson in humility, one learned without confrontation, without spectacle. Foreign authority had entered with certainty. It left with understanding, not because it was forced, but because it failed without it. And somewhere in Manila, a Filipino engineer continued building systems meant to endure storms, both natural and human, proving that quiet competence, when ignored, waits patiently for the truth to surface.